All right, everyone, welcome back to Joe Gutierrez Ministries. Guys, we just need to remember some stuff that's going on. Like, I know we've been hitting up on what it takes to be a great man of God. There's just something, this is what God's put in my heart. Why? Because I've been such a failure at it. I have not been a really good man of God. In fact, I would probably be a pretty bad example of a good man of God. That being said, why? Like, what is this failure? Why is it that so many men, so many people keep failing this? Because to be honest, the problems in the culture that we see, the problems in our society that we see, stem from men failing to do their jobs. It's just, that's how it is. Men can't do their jobs, and so society fails around them. Remember, we talked about purpose, we talked about responsibility, we talked about having our mates, we talked about that God gave us boundaries. Well, what happens when these things fail? What happens when men are not fulfilling the purpose that God gave them to do? What happens when men are not doing the responsibilities that they're doing? What happens when men are not working with their mates? What happens when men are not staying within the boundaries that they're supposed to stay in? We have chaos. I mean, look at society around you. Look at the culture. This, it's a prime example of everything that's going on. It's everyone says it's getting worse, and yes, I can say, like, throughout the years from like 50 years ago to now, yes, things have progressively gotten worse, but the problems have always been there. The problems have been there since basically Adam. And I agree with a lot of people out there that say it starts in the home. It starts at the marriage. Satan is our enemy. He's here to seek, steal, and destroy. How does he destroy? How does he destroy your children? How does he destroy future generations? The way he destroys future generations is by destroying the family. If he can pollute the mom and the dad, and he can destroy them and keep them away from God, then they will feel the responsibility of passing on that to their children. And now he get that, and so he digs in deeper with them, and then when they have kids, they pass on those things. So it's based, in the Bible, it talks about us being cursed. When we talk about the Ten Commandments, it talks about us being cursed. We don't follow the other, and it's cursed. We are cursed from the first, second, third generation. Well, I'm a firm believer. What that means is we are not passing on God. What we are passing on are horrible things. We are passing them by just for us to have some sort of relate. Smoking. Your kids see you smoke, guess what? They're probably, the chances of them smoking are a lot higher. If you are a person who drinks, the chances of your children drinking is extremely much higher. And it's up there. You can look it up. The statistics are out there. Just look it up. What are the chances of my kids being a drunk if I'm a drunk? It's there. Just look it up. Google it. If you are someone who, says a lot of bad words, I mean, this is an obvious one. It'll be impossible to teach your kids not to say them. They're going to say them. They're going to say it. We are passing on these curses. When our responsibility is not to pass on these things, our responsibility is to pass on what God had as purpose. What is our purpose? Our purpose is to subdue the earth. Our purpose is to take care of what God has given us. That is our purpose. We are not doing it. As men, we are failing on that point blank. Because what did God give us? God gave us the earth. And then if you want to go into the next extent, God gave us our communities. God gave us our church. God gave us our families. So are we fulfilling our purpose of taking care of these things? No. In many cases, we're not. 50% of marriages end in divorce. And I think it's actually a little bit higher now. Like, seriously? We fail at this stuff? All right, let's take the next one. All right, God gave us boundaries. You can have all these things, just don't do this. What were our basic boundaries now after the fall? Well, he first gave us the 10 Commandments. All right? He gave us the first 10 Commandments. 10 Commandments were not rules for us to stay at. 10 Commandments were meant for us to realize we could not do it without him. The whole point was the 10 Commandments was for them to bring us down to our knees, to realize we can't do this. It's too hard. We need God. And God will help us through this. When that wasn't working, when men were becoming too legalistic, because the whole point of being legalistic is so you can say you did it. The whole point of having all of the church being very legalistic. Did you do the 10 Commandments? Have you sinned? Have you committed adultery? Have you lusted? Have you stolen? Have you been worshiping false idols? And all this other stuff. Have you honored your mother and father? Is all about, and then them judging you on it, or them trying to correct you on it, is all about legalism. It's men trying to say they are capable of doing it without God. No, we need Jesus. That's not going to work. Jesus came so that we could just rely on him. Jesus even made it one step further. He said, the whole fulfillment of the old law was for men to love others as they love themselves. That, he said, was the fulfillment of the old law. Right? The fulfillment. And he took it a step further by saying, but I say, love others as I have loved you. He even took it that farther. And how did he love us? Unconditionally. To the point of death. Like, seriously, this is how it goes. So we're failing at our purpose. We're failing at our boundaries. We're not staying within our boundaries. We're trying to do things on our own. Okay, what about mates? Marriage. That's the one. That's the biggest one. Marriage. Are we being truthful in our marriages? Are we being good in our marriages? No, not really. We're failing at everything. So that's not good. Kids are a mess. Marriage is a mess. Everyone's a mess. Alright, well, what about the last one? What are our responsibilities? Our responsibilities are to the Lord. And then what does the Lord want us to do? To take care of everything. To pass on his word to our children. If we don't have kids, to pass on the word to our community. Come on, guys. I don't understand. I mean, it sounds simple. I guarantee you it's not simple. It's extremely hard. I know it's hard. To rely on that spirit 24/7 and not to go to the flesh, especially when you grew up in the flesh. Because if you had no one to teach you this from when you're little, then what happens is you have been brought up with the idea that I need to rely on my flesh. I need to rely on my flesh. My emotions, me. And then when you try to switch over to this new mindset, to this new renewing of the mind, which you have to do daily. That's why Jesus said, do it daily at every chance you get. Because now you have to retrain yourself to rely on the Spirit. And it's not easy. And there's times you're going to mess up. We're not meant to be perfect. We're not meant to be Jesus. We are meant to be like Jesus. We are meant to be as close to him as we can. Every day we take steps closer. Every day we are better than what we were the other day. But continuously progressing. I don't see that. I'm just spreading my frustrations out here, and it's just frustrating. And I'm speaking mostly in my life. I mean, I can see where I'm taking steps back when I should have been taking steps forward, where I just sit there and not move forward when I'm supposed to be moving forward. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And so to any of my men out there, to any of those guys out there struggling, dealing with this, I only have this to say to you guys. You know what? Keep going, man. Just keep going. Keep pushing forward. Get into the Word. Find a good study Bible. Find a good church that has a men's group. Become of that men's group, because you know what? When God tells us that iron sharpens iron, He means that we need to be part of a group of men so that we can work together to keep each other accountable when we are failing at one of these 4 things. That way, we can keep each other. Hey, bro, you know what? This and this, you okay? You know, this is going on in your life. I'm noticing, not doing so well here. Everything all right. We're holding each other accountable in love. Because how did Jesus hold us accountable? He didn't come and smack everybody around. No, He came and did it in love. Even when He was upset at the money changers in the temple, He did it in love. Why? He loved them enough, and He loved them, and He loved God, that He knew them being there was just horrible. And He got them out of there as best as He could, as fast as He could, for they could learn not to do that. Why? Because the God spare the rod, spoil the child. At this point, he was using the rod to help his children who were not getting it. You know, it's just sad, guys. I wish you all the best out there. I know this is just a little short video of me kind of thinking about stuff. I wanted to just put something out there today. God is good. We know that. God loves you. God will never leave us. He will never forsake us. Today, just read after Galatians 5. Go after Galatians 5. Start with like verse 17 and move up, guys. And move all the way up to like verse 30. Read that. Learn it. Understand it. May God be the glory. Be strong and courageous.